Hello again, my friends, and you are my friends, and welcome to your ITFC live fan match reaction show. It is, of course, finished Derby 0, Ipswich Town 2. I'm, of course, your host, the Gov, looking forward to the next, 20, half an hour, 40 minutes, however long we go, discussing Town's 7th win on the spin, top 2 in ITFC hands now. Surely, I'd love to hear from every single Town fan this evening. Get active in the live chat, live link, of course. There'll be several people coming on. We'll start with Mr. Chandler in just the moment and get what he thought of the game. Then Mr. George and Nunn, both waiting, looking at me, smiling, which must mean Town have, of course, won. I'll get a couple of comments. Then we'll look at the league table. Woody Wood says, fantastic win. Actually, a chance of thieving an automatic promotion place. Solid performance, and Hurst now looking a real acquisition. Philip Blundell predicted a Town win, and we delivered. And he also says 3 of the next 4 games at home. Hashtag league title. Rob Holmes, massive statement. Win today. It's really going to happen, isn't it? Gareth Grayson on Facebook. Get in now, starting to believe. I'll try and put as many comments as I can from the live chat on. All super chats will be read out. And if you want to go one further, as Rob Holmes has done, as Philip Blundell, many others have done, hit the join button on YouTube. Support the fan platform that's for fans, by fans. Some bonus book launch content coming out for those members in the next few days. All the more reason to hit that join button. And of course, you can cancel any point that you wish to. The power is always in your hands. Here is your league table. Wednesday, drawing, I believe, at home to Lincoln. Plymouth not playing today, 80. Town in 3rd. Same games as Plymouth. 2 behind. 2 behind Wednesday with a game in hand. Town hands. Now, surely the destiny is with us. What we do is what we will do, as they say. And only we can mess it up, if you like. But this is Ipswich. We do know we make it hard for ourselves, but we've not made it hard for ourselves recently. Mr. Chandler, a great win today. How are you feeling, first and foremost?
I'm buzzing. I think that's a really professional away win, because I don't think Derby are a bad side. I know they're on a ropey run. I think they're a big physical side, and we matched them, and more than matched them.
We certainly did. It's in our. The good doctor says, get in our hands again, massive. And we're not just ground the last 7 games out. It's been stroked in. How did you see the game from your perspective? Was it a comfortable game? Was it a nervy game? How did you view it as a Town fan this afternoon?
I wasn't ever nervous, because I know that they scored a goal that then got disallowed. But how many times did they actually really test Walton? And how many times in any of those games that we've won have we really been tested? I know in some of the earlier games we had the penalty saves and stuff, but I don't feel like he had a great save to make. He did some good catching and some good punches and stuff like that, but you'd expect that. You're playing away at one of the top 6 teams.
Absolutely. Was there a moment in the game? Okay, go on. Sorry, go on.
I thought it was comfortable. I think it would have felt a lot more comfortable if we'd got the second in the first half, but I still felt it was comfortable.
And Phil Blundell says 3 of the next 4 at home. Is it in our hands? Is it going to be as plain standing? Yeah, because you called the Plymouth wobble. You've called this a little bit yourself. Mystic Chandler, as you've been sort of called by Matt. How's it going to go then? 3 of the next 4 at home. Talk me through it. Tell Town fans at home what you think is going to be happening.
By the end of Easter Monday, when we've won away at Cheltenham, we'll be second, if not first.
Oh, I like it. You're that confident?
Yeah, I am. Plymouth and Wednesday have both having a bit of a wobble. Away from home, Plymouth's form isn't great, and Wednesday's form just isn't great. So they've got some tough away games coming up, whereas we've got 3 out of the 4 at home, like Phil said. So I'm not scared about whether we're at home or away. I just don't think Cheltenham or Wycombe will lay a glove on us.
I like that. How did you view the referee's performance today? Because you got a big shout in the chat from Harp saying the referee did well to spot the push in the box to disallow the goal.
I think that's the key moment of the game, because I think there's a lot of refs we'd have had this season that goal had stood, and it was a foul. And McGoldrick knew it was a foul because you could see from his reaction when it was disallowed, he wasn't arguing; he just kind of trudged off. Yeah. I think you could argue that it should have been a red for the foul on Harness because that's a bad tackle, but I think the ref set his stall out quite early. He booked, was it cash in after about 2 minutes for a bad foul on Wes, I think, and then he may have given a couple of iffy bookings for time wasting for us quite early on, I thought, but I thought he was a good, strong ref. I didn't think he was bad at all.
Fair enough. Chandler, before I let you go, who's your stand-up performer in a Town shirt this afternoon?
I think it's really tight between Wes and Morsi, but I'd go man of the match for Wes, to be honest. He set up with a great header to win the ball because he's climbed a mile in the air to win the ball to tap it down for Chappers, and then I don't know how he has that kind of pace in the 75th minute to run that fast at that. And then you could argue, is it a miss from him or is it a good save? I think it's a good save personally. But then Hurst controllably taps it in to get 3 of his 10 for the season, so it's fine.
Absolutely. So Wes Burns for you, standout performer. Absolutely love that. Mr. Chandler, thank you for popping on and giving us your say. Up the town, son.
Up the town.
Up the town. Mr. Nunn, welcome. We've not had George on the platform in ages. How are you?
All right.
Yep. You're all right. We're all right now, George, because we've come through what everyone on paper had at a tough test, and people heading into the game were nervous. International break, would it derail the momentum? Would it stop us from playing? How did you see sort of our first 60 minutes, if you like, from that perspective of, do you think we've missed a beat, or do you think we just picked up exactly where we left off and the juggernaut continues now?
Yeah, more or less. I think there was a few sort of slightly nervy minutes, I guess, in the first half, but there wasn't a sort of sustained period of pressure, it didn't feel like. So I think we did pretty well, by and large. It didn't look like we'd had 2 weeks off. It didn't look like we were missing our first choice left back. With no disrespect to Lee Davis, I thought Gregory did well. So yeah, they just look quality at the moment, don't they?
Oh, absolutely. Big Mo. And Mr. Chandler there said, that referee spotting the push was his key moment. Would you go along with that? Or was there another in the moment in the game where you felt actually it sort of swung, it pivoted outside of the clear and obvious, the goals that is, of course, where you felt actually we were kind of in control? Because I'll be honest, I messaged you at about, just before the goal actually, and said, this has got 1-1 all over it. We're not making it easy for ourselves.
Yeah, I think that was the key moment for us. It did feel like they could claw one back at any moment, and they would have clawed it back. It's not like they were putting us under any huge amounts of sustained pressure, but it looked like they could probably nick a goal if we didn't put it to bed. So I think probably for me that was the moment. But I think I said to you just before we added 7 minutes from somewhere of injury time. I thought the ref had a good game actually. I thought he was up there with. It's not often that I don't come out of a League One game thinking how god awful the ref was, and I thought he did all right today. I thought 7 minutes was probably pushing it a little bit, but we were playing it around a little bit to waste some time. But yeah, I thought Walton's booking was a bit harsh, unless I missed what it was for. But if it was for time wasting, I thought that was a bit
harsh. How did you view our dark arts today? Because I've seen a couple of Derby tweets already on social media where it's not complimentary, shall we say, in terms of what we brought to the table, physicality, time wasting, all these different things that normally you don't associate with Town. How did you view our dark?
I think Pool One teams get to moan about other teams being physical, do they? And again, I said to you halfway through, they looked like Derby looked like a Pool One Rotherham side who couldn't quite play as well as Pool One's Rotherham today. They were trying to do the kind of like muscling off of the ball stuff, but it was just a little bit too cynical and a little bit too late and a little bit too clumsy. They just didn't look as drilled as Paul Warne's Rotherham used to, I thought. And I think they probably fell foul of that a little bit. I've been very clear. I'm not a fan of the gamesmanship, time wasting element to League One, but you can't like, at some point you have to play teams at their own game, and Derby would have done exactly the same. And I'm sure they go away from home, get one up, and play exactly the same. And we all moan about it as fans, and we'll continue to moan about it when it happens to us. But the only way you can get away from it is to get out of this sodding league.
Absolutely, yeah. And obviously we've not had a Monday show in a while. We are back as the games start coming thick and fast, as the business end of the season reaching its climax. Of course, Talking Town kicks itself into gear. So we're back Monday night. You're joining me on Monday night, 8:30, as always. So be there. Last time we were with each other on Monday night, the league table wasn't looking too great, wasn't looking too good. This is your league table this evening. The last time we did a Monday, did you think we'd be back in this position where it was in the town hands, as it were?
No, I don't think so. The frustrating thing I think now is that we're on like this record-breaking, crazy run of form. We look absolute quality, but truth is we can't let up at all, can we? Not even for a second, because we're still third. We haven't got ourselves 10 points clear as we should have done after a 7-game winning run. Like we are clawing our way back to a position that we probably should never have been out of. So. But don't get me wrong, we're doing a bloody cracking job of it. So long may it continue. But I wouldn't go so far as to say I had as much confidence as we've shown in the last couple of months.
We have been phenomenal. Last question, Mr. Nunn. Your stand-up performer, not called Wes Burns. And if it was Wes Burns, do say it. But give me somebody else.
I think I'm going to go the other side. I think Morsi today for me, and generally I think he's looked a different player since two things happened. Since he got really, really close to another suspension, and it would surprise me if McKenna hadn't said, you know how you were playing while you were on the fringe of a suspension, not getting yourself booked every week. Play like that. But also alongside Luongo, I think he looks a completely different player. So yeah, Morsi for me.
Perfect. Mr. Nunn, I'll see you Monday night, 8:30. Looking forward to it.
You too, mate. Catch them.
All the best. I'll bring in Mr. Anderson Lee. Morsi was also my shout. I'll just add on to the back of what George was saying there. I thought our captain today was absolutely phenomenal. Strong in the tackle, read the game well, and then that pass for the second goal where he sets things going. Whether you want to credit Luongo for how Morsi's playing, I think that's a little bit of a discredit to Sam himself, because I think recently Sam Morsi has been the Sam Morsi we all love, we all knew before the people were questioning him. He's been phenomenal recently. How did you see his game?
No, I knew you. So when you're talking about asking for a man of the match, and I'm sitting there, I'm trying to think of who it could be, who it should be, and then I'm thinking about Sam Morsi, and he was exceptional today. He was an exceptional leader. It was tight in the midfield. We didn't have it all our own way, not in that midfield. And I think if you look at the possession stats, I think you'll find that we had less possession than Derby today. And that's a rarity. And we won 2-0. So that shows a different side of the game. But yeah, Morsi stepped up to the plate and was 8, 9 out of 10, the same as everybody else. I don't think you could put, you could probably have a case for nearly every player for man of the match today, because it's a proper away day performance, wasn't it? It had everything. I mean, that would have been a travesty. I mean, that number 6 for Derby, I don't know, I can't remember his name, but I mean, I've seen some cart horses in my time, mainly on a Sunday morning. I mean, he was dreadful, wasn't he? And when he scored that goal, and my sound had gone on my iFollow, and I said to my lad, I said, I can't believe he's just scored. And then it got disallowed. That was like, yeah, and you can see why it was disallowed. But I said to my lad, I said, if you could you imagine if you got Jackson running on one-on-one with him, and then Wes Burns did it for the second goal. So that was great. But yeah, Morsi, it's that type of game for him. It's that type of game. I think I've said before, when he's out of the game, it's because the ball's going over his head all the time. There's no football. There's Cheltenham or whoever it is, whoever, kicking the ball from one box to the other, and he can't influence the game, And so, yeah, he was fantastic today. But what an all-round away performance. Had everything. And to win a game 2-0 for Ipswich and not have the majority of the possession says a lot. Says how far we've come. And that's why we're winning these games. Because at 1-0, they had the rest of the first half, didn't they, to be fair, I think. But How that's not a penalty for Connor Chaplin, I don't know. I don't know how that is not a penalty. He's run across him. Yes, he's gone across him, not to dive. He's tripped him up. He's tripped him.
I agree with you.
That is a stonewall penalty.
I agree. I completely agree.
You know, and why would he go down? But I mean, the referee doesn't think in his mind, oh, why would Connor Chaplin go down? It's a penalty. But you can just see the way he tripped and the way he fell. Straight away, that was a penalty.
One of the biggest things in football that annoys me, Lee, is the term "he's looking for it," because I don't care if you're looking for it or not. If you still get fouled, you still get fouled, whether you're looking for it or whether you're not looking for it. Yeah. You know what I mean? Yeah. Just because you're looking for it, to me, says you've got more footballing intelligence than perhaps the other player you're coming up against, because you're reading the situation better. So when people say to me, "Oh, he's looking for it," okay, but was he clipped? Yes, so he was a penalty.
Yeah,
simple as that.
I think looking for it and trying to get it and looking for it are different things, as you say. You coach anybody in the box to run across the defender.
Absolutely, for that very reason.
To take that player out, and also not to get tackled. You would do that because you're shielding the ball. You're getting your body between the ball. It's a basic principle of coaching, isn't it? And he was tripped. I mean, that's a penalty. If that had been at Portman Road against us 3 months, when we had our slump, or all those penalties that we've conceded, we would have conceded that. And that just shows the sort of, the fine margins of how things are. But it goes back to what McKenna says all the time, doesn't it? He looks at the stats all the time. And, if we keep doing the right things, it will come good for us. And at the moment, it is. But it's still, it's sort of in our hands. But we're not going to go the whole season without conceding a goal. And we're going to have, we can win every single game. If you look at them in isolation, yes, we can. But to go, what would it be, 16 games? To win 16 games in a trot? I don't think that's been done before, has it? So,
I don't know who by.
We've clawed it back. We've made it interesting. We've got a chance. We've got a really good team. The guys that have come in, in January have taken a step forward. Hurst, I've said on here before, I wasn't always sure about him, but the last couple of games, he's shown his worth. And, there's a case for Hurst being man of the match today, because I thought he linked the play really well. And when he didn't when he didn't get on the ball and link it and it stuck with him, the ball was coming back the other way. So he did well and took his finish well and stuff like that. So great stuff.
Perfect. Lee, before I let you go, who was your standout performer? Who do you actually give that nod to? You mentioned a couple of players there, but who's the nod given to from you?
Can I be really corny?
Of course you can.
Can I please? Right.
Short chance of your saying your own words.
No. So I had no commentary on my iFollow, and all I could hear was 3,000 tractor boys and girls. That's all I could hear all game. So I'm giving it to them. I'm sorry. That's really corny. Yeah, sack me, do whatever I want. But they were phenomenal today, the fans. So that's who gets it with me. Because the team, you couldn't pick anybody. You can't really. If you're, they all performed 8 out of 10, 9 out of 10, and they had to, because Derby at home was still a real threat. And a shout out to David McGoldrick. He's still got it, and his legs are gone, but he's got some touch on him, isn't he?
For sure.
But anyway,
yeah, for sure.
But he lost. So cheers, guys.
You've gone corny, so I'll let you go.
Yeah.
Good shout on that. 3,000 Town fans. Appreciate you coming on. Look after yourself. Paul P. Ref, what did you even up the? Oh no, right. Luongo's an absolute tank. Louis Fenton. Anywhere else on the pitch is probably a free kick. So why it's not a penalty? Rob Holmes, especially as that Plymouth penalty was. Referee performance getting lots and lots of comments in the live chat. Lewis O'Connor, afternoon. Whole team of 9+. We will win this league, says Lewis O'Connor Coxey. Will we win this league? Because my Wednesday brother has just messaged me and he's just said, I told you, your lot will win the league and you're going to win the league. Are we going to win the league, Mr. Peter Cox?
My answer to that is I hope so, because there still is a bit like yourself. I say by your face last night when that you still got, like me, you got that little niggling thought that we are Town, we could cock it up, but it is very much there now. We need a couple of little slip ups, but we're in there. Considering where we were a little while ago, what was it, 10 or 12 points away? We were good God, you know, we were just bad. We just turned it around, and yeah.
Tasha says, yes, we are going to win the league. I think that's to win the league. Chris Boyd, I was worried about the long break we had, but hopefully it worked. We're good to go right through this run-in. Plenty of grit on show this afternoon. We had a little bit of contrasting views to start the show. Mr. Chandler was never nervous. George, a little bit like me, was thinking, could see a 1-1 coming here. A little bit of the nerves creeping in maybe on George's behalf and my behalf. How were you through that 90? Were you more Mr. Chandler or more Mr. Nunn? Were you cool and confident, or were you a little bit maybe, they're starting to get on top? That goal ruled out, but they've got the goal ruled out. It's coming, it's building. Where were you on it?
I was in the Chandler camp for most of the game, but that quarter of an hour after, the start of the second half, I was with you. I was with you and Nunny. I mean, they were. Sorry to paraphrase George Nunn, that they were clawing their way sort of back in there, and they obviously had the goal disallowed, and and Ipswich then Broadhead in between. They started playing the dark arts, and that's the time to do it. And we've been critical, so we're too nice, and we've done a bit of that when it's needed today. So Derby fans can write what they like on the internet, be the keyboard warriors, but we've been critical, but when needed today, the dark arts came into play, and then we got back into the game. And I think that after that sort of 15-minute spell, I was back in the Chandler camp there.
I think many Town fans were split. I mean, we've got Rob Holmes saying nerves were building, whereas Stephen Perry was confident. Gavin says every game I'm nervous. A player getting some comments in the chat is obviously Greg Lee, Jason Clayton. Greg Lee outstanding, kept their right winger quiet. McSaucepan, Greg Lee putting a solid shift, dealing with the physicality of Mendes Lang. How did you see his performance stepping in for Leif Davis? What are your thoughts on Greg Lee this afternoon?
Yeah, we don't know what's up with our Leafs today, but yeah, he came in and before match the man. We
illness, I believe.
Illness,
I believe
yeah. Well,
illness, I'm not sure.
Kudos to our man Greg Lee. He's come in today. We haven't even really seen him on the subs bench for so long, have we?
No.
In fact, we were saying, where the hell is Greg Lee? And he's come back in, and he didn't get chosen for his international side, Jamaica, I believe, and he's got his chance today coming in, and he didn't look out of place at all. Well done.
No, I really liked his performance this afternoon. Yeah. I was probably one of those fans before the game when I realised that Leif Davis wouldn't be playing. I was disappointed, concerned. I think Greg Lee's a lot like a player we've had in the past, J-Tab. He'll give you 6 or 7 out of 10 every single week. Mr. Consistency, Mr. Reliability, dependability, consistent. And every team needs those. Every team for the superstar needs those. The difference with Leif is that he's got that little bit of special about him in the sense of, he can create something. Obviously, a lot of it is set pieces, I know. But he can create something in terms of open play that you can have an opportunity from. I've not yet seen that from Greg Lee. It's not to say Greg Lee can't do it. It's just I've not yet seen it. That's the difference, really. And I thought this afternoon a set piece or two may have been key. So I was really disappointed when Leif wasn't on the team sheet. But you're right, Greg Lee, just 6 or 7 out of 10 every week. And today is probably higher, probably 8 or a 9. He was really, really solid. And Mendes Lang's their top assist maker. So to keep him quiet, Coxie, is a really big thing.
Yeah, key to the game is that down to Kieran? Tactics there. You identified that player as as the key, and shut him out of the game. So that's happy days.
Before I let you go, Coxie, who was your standout performer then? Perhaps it was Greg Lee. I don't know. Who was it for you?
Honourable mentions to he hasn't been sort of a couple of guys. Well, Andrew did sort of mention George Hurst. I mean, obviously, I was watching on television. Even there, I can see the work he does off the ball is it's not getting enough praise at all. I don't know what the guys. I wait till my son comes home. He's at Pride Park Day. See what he said. But honourable mention to him. Broadhead, as I said, absolutely magnificent there. Made the second goal. There's a great quick sort of counter attack out to Broadhead, out to and then out to Wes, who headed it down. Connor Chaplin is in there. Yeah. So a couple of honourable mentions there, but. Sorry, I'm going to be boring. It's going to be Sir Wes for me this afternoon as man of the match. He's had his knockers, but today well done. You know, his mum was on Facebook and on Twitter earlier on. She was quite proud of the assist for the first goal. He arguably should have had the second goal, but he didn't. And but then Hurst was there, stuck it in 2-0, and we're happy. 7 in a row.
Absolutely. Coxie, it's always a pleasure talking football with you. Look after yourself.
Adios.
All the best. We've got Phil Blundell coming right up in just one moment. McSaucepan, another day. W are playing with 9 men at the end of a 2 nailed on red cards. We've got 3 cards for time wasting. They got 4 for bad fouls. Keon met Lee Evans outside the butter market today. Obviously back in training, Lee Evans. Would he get in the side? Let me know now. He's such a big player for the first 15 games of the year, but would he get back in for you now if he was fully fit? Lee Anderson Lee did have something like that bloke who had more stevos than the Olympic hurdler, Norman Greenwald. Lee probably played the majority of the Tottenham game. Meant he was ready for today. McKenna, such a great strategic thinker. Mr. Blundell, welcome in. I'm going to ask you a question I've not asked anybody else yet this evening. 2 games coming up between now and Easter Monday. Where are Town going to be come Easter Monday? There is your league table. Currently, Wickham on Friday. Then it's Cheltenham. Give me a prediction, Mr. Blundell. Where are we going to be sitting Monday evening?
It has to be top 2. It has to be. I would say, just looking at those 2 fixtures, say 3 of the next 4 games we've got at home, and we absolutely have to take advantage of these games now before we play Peterborough and Barnsley. And just looking at those games and trying to do the sums here, we could have 90 points by the time we play Barnsley and Peterborough. And I think that'll be a huge plus going into those 2 games, because those 2 games for me on paper, with, you know, the changes in fortunes for Peterborough under Dan Ferguson has improved their recent form. And you think, you know, we don't have a great record at Peterborough, do we? Over the number of seasons we played them. But I just think, you know, the next 2 games for me has to be a massive 6 points for us. And going into, you know, but I think the big challenge, I think the other challenge with every team now faces in the league is that we've got an intense run for the next 2 or 3 weeks where we're playing 2 games a week, you know, till the end of April, you know, and it was, I mean, what was it? 7th, 10th, 15th, 18th, 22nd, 25th, 29th. That is an intense run. And, you know, we all know what happened to Bolton when they played, 8 games in 24, 25 days or something daft like that. They faltered, but we have the squad to cope with this. And on a slight negative note, I did wonder why Davis wasn't in the starting 11 this afternoon. But, you know, Greg Lee coming in, I knew that he would be a solid player for us this afternoon. Just a bit cautious about Broadhead, because even though I didn't watch the game, I listened to it on the radio. They were saying, between Brenner and Alec on the radio, they were saying that was a bad challenge from Collins, and he should have been booked for it, and the referee didn't do it. And eventually now Broadhead's gone off with an injury, and I think, you know, I just think, you know, between him, Hurst, and Luongo, you know, those are. You know, any one of those 3 players you wouldn't want to see injured at this point in the season, going into such an intense run-in, and you know, it just makes you wonder if he's picked up, you know, if he's, I'm going to say the Achilles. That's a bit of an awkward injury to have. You know, he could be out for, you know, a couple of weeks for that if he's caught him badly. You know, we all know how painful the Achilles can be when it's injured, but. I just hope that he'll be back, obviously, for the Good Friday game against Wickham. I agree with what Rob Holmes said earlier. Said a few minutes ago. I can't remember what he said. Norwich lost today. That was good news. I think looking on the TWT website, they've given it to Burns as man of the match, which I think, incidentally, is his first man of the match award this season. And you know, he's just one of those players for us that, you know, he's peaking at the right time now.
Yeah,
I'm saying I am obviously going to be interested to see who he plays on Good Friday. We've still generally got a whole week for it, you know, until this game is played. But it's just that run, you know, Cheltenham, Port Vale, you know, 3 games in a little over a week that we've then got to contend with. But I'm going to say. If we win the next 4 games, which I really hope we do, you know, it would be magnificent if we did. You know, that would put us on 90 points going into that Barnsley Peterborough game. I think the only game that sort of bothers me in the running is that Barnsley away game.
Okay.
I was thinking about Fleetwood and Cheltenham, because of what they're like. Cheltenham drew 0-0 with Burton today. I think Fleetwood won their game. Who are they playing today? Very quickly, Cheltenham drew 0-0. Fleetwood 2-2 against Exeter. What was it?
You're right there, Phil.
Yeah, I lost the word. Sorry. Yeah,
while you're doing that, we look at just bringing the form table up that Norman Greenwald asked for in the chat. There is the form table, or one I could find at short notice. I hope that's good enough for you, Norman. Town top of the form table. Charlton, Peterborough, Portsmouth, MK Dons, Barnsley. So obviously Cheltenham in 8th in that form table. So they're obviously Friday's opponents. Wickham are. Where are Wickham? Have I gone past them? 12th in the form table. So not banging form sides coming up. Cheltenham in 8th is obviously a form side, but at home you should expect to be taking 3 points off Wickham. Now, Phil, I appreciate you listening on the radio. So before I let you go, it might be a difficult question, but who was your standout performer, for yourself, having listened to the game? So using your ears, a different perspective.
Well, I would say any one of those. I think for me, with the way the commentary was on the radio, obviously it's different from what you can see. But it seems to me that Burgess sounded like he had a real good game at the back for us today, along with obviously our 4 players, Hurst and Burns in particular. But Morsi sounded like an absolute workhorse for us this afternoon.
Yeah.
But they've given it to Burns on TWTD. I think because it's his first this season, I would give it to Burns because he has improved since January. He is now the player. We are now seeing obviously what we saw last season. It would be great if he got onto the score sheet again at least twice this season. I think that his form would suggest that he's capable of doing that. But I have to wait and see. But for me, certainly now. Wickham, Charlton, Port Vale, and Exeter are four very winnable home games, and we have to take advantage of our home form. If we do that, we will be on 90 points going into the last game of the season. I'm saying we might have more than 90 points by the time then, but the Fleetwood game, I just think to myself, if you look at it, 90 points by the time we play Peterborough. We go to Peterborough. Peterborough still are a bit dodgy. They drew 0-0 today with Oxford, who I'm saying they've had a bad season for them this season. They've obviously brought in that Musinho. What was it in January, February time?
Mm-hmm.
It's obviously sort of shored them up at the back, but just look. I'm saying if we have 90 points by the time we play Peterborough with 4 games to go, you think. Potentially, I'm saying we
You're
could
looking too far ahead for me, Phil.
Potentially, we could win every game of the season that's remaining. But
if my granddad will should be a bike, if and buts were candy and nuts, you're looking too far ahead for me, Phil. You just need to concentrate one game at a time, one step at a time. But I do appreciate where you're coming from. That's the excitement in you starting to build.
That's game number 43. The Peterborough and Barnsley game are games 43 and 44. And we could have 90 points with 4 games to go. That would be absolutely flipping amazing.
It really would. It really would. Phil, I've got to let you go, but appreciate you coming on. We're live again tomorrow, 1:30. I'll go to Josh. Josh, you're my last one this afternoon. Phil's running away with himself. He's already in May. In fact, Phil's probably already planning these championship A to Z by the sound of it. Back to tonight or this afternoon, how was your perspective on it? Were you nervous at all? Were you confident? How did you see the 90 minutes as a body of work? Was it a really solid professional performance, as Lee was saying earlier, or had its moments? Where are you on it?
Mainly it was professional, solid performance, but I think the last 20 in the first half was shaky. And I think very early second half, had me nervous, especially when they scored and got disallowed. I was thinking if that goal didn't get disallowed, then we may not have won the game. But
does Town coming through moments like that, particularly when they've scored and had it ruled out? Does Town coming through moments like that as we hit the back end of the season, the business end of the season? Does it give you more confidence as a Town fan that we're entering a new level, a new gear that we haven't seen this Town side, particularly under McKenna, enter yet.
100%. You know, I mean, last season, probably early this season, we wouldn't have won that game. It's in that manner.
Mhm.
You know, like I think it was Lee that mentioned it. We didn't have that much possession. We had less possession than opposition for once, and we still won the game.
Mhm.
We're learning. We're learning to change a game. We're learning, and not that we don't have to play fancy all the time, and we're still scrapping wins like that and getting clean sheets.
A lot was said in January about the additions. With a lot has been said since about the needle mover, Nathan Broadhead. Where are you on George Hurst? Because I'll be honest, I was a man that was unconvinced. I was a man that said the only person who could convince me it would be a decent signing is the player himself, and I will applaud him. I will take my hat off to him. He has done just that from my perspective. But how have you seen his last couple of games?
Certainly improved since he came in. He's got 3 and 3 now, Hurst. His hold-up play certainly got a lot better.
Mhm.
To me, it looks like he's gelled really well in this side now. He's not been here that long, but he seems to now have gelled really well in this side.
Mhm.
And if I was McKenna and Ashton, I'd probably be considering a permanent move in the summer. But that's probably too far ahead for now. But listen, if he keeps scoring goals, if he gets at least one more in each game, then he's going to finish on 10, 11 goals, which for someone to come in January is a very, very decent. You know, he could finish on 8 coming in January, and it's still a very good record. So, yeah, listen, he's improved. He's done well. His hold-up play is fantastic. The way he brings the other players in behind him into the game. Shame about the Dapo because he is a good player, but
you're right. It's a shame, but it's not often you get a player like the Dapo who's got double figures. And he's not getting in the side because of the player you brought in January. Obviously, Hurst was a player they chased all summer, so they obviously had designs on Hurst and what he could bring to the McKenna system. We got Zirak saying his vision, his movement is really damn good. Also, every time he gets to 65 minutes, he's goosed. I mean, how he got that goal, I have no idea because he was knackered, which I'm so pleased somebody has said because I literally was messaging somebody, I think it might have been George or somebody else saying, I'd take Hurst off. He looks absolutely shattered. He looks like he's run his race. I would take him off. Literally, no longer had to press send. He'd scored the second goal, and he scored it because he was Johnny on the spot. Right man, right place, right time. But he does. He literally leaves nothing off that pitch, does he? He puts everything into it, George Hurst. And you know he's a player when he comes off, whatever minute it is, that he's really put a shift in. And I love that as a fan. I love seeing that.
100%. Yeah, he did look knackered, and the people, quite a few people said it in Discord too. They literally said we were about to say he looks knackered, and I said, you know, he did look knackered, but he was in the right place at the right time for the goal, and he came off like 2 minutes after that, so that his last contribution was a goal. And like I was saying to someone before, because I play football myself, and I was saying all you have to do is get one chance and score it, and he made an impact. He may have looked knackered, but he made an impact by scoring.
Spot on. We've had 2 shouts for Wes Burns. We've had George with Sam Morsi. I backed that up. That was also my shout. Lee has gone with the fans. Lee Anderson there. Gone for the old cheap pop, isn't he? Like Mick Foley in the WWF. Who is your stand-up performer this afternoon, Josh Russell?
I mean, there's a few. I'm going to have to edge it for Burns again, I think. I'm going to have to agree with them a lot. I think that Wales call-up seems to have shone a new light over Wes Burns. Good assist. He got up really well for the header. Knocked it down to Chaplin. I think he was unlucky not to get the second. Probably should have scored that, but you could argue he got the assist for the second as well, having the last player to touch it for us. But no, I thought he did really well. And the fact that he was still fully sprinting in the 75th minute and beyond was just, you know, fantastic that he's got that stamina and fitness to still sprint like that for a whole 97 minutes. So, yeah, I'm going to edge it to Burns today, I think.
Perfect. Josh, appreciate you coming on. Enjoy your Saturday evening. If you want to become a Talking Town 5th Stander, you can do so. Information on the screen and in the chat. Hit the link, hit the join button on YouTube. All the book launches, exclusive bonus content is coming out in the next couple of days. So if you become a 5th Stander today, you'll get access to that. There'll be a link for it. And you'll also be supporting the ITFC fan platform for fans, by fans, information right there. But for this afternoon, we are done. Town have beaten Derby away 2-0, 7 wins in 7, more clean sheets than a Hilton hotel. And we have got the top 2 in our hands. We are live again tomorrow from 1:30. So do have your say then. But until then, enjoy your Saturday night. crack open a beer if that's your thing. Have yourself a lovely takeaway, because Town have suddenly got it all in their hands.
You make me smile when I think of you. If I am down or when I am blue, I can't get enough. Oh, yes, lover. You make me happy, I feel so fine. Oh, how I wish that you were mine. I can't get enough. Oh, yes, lover. Oh, please, lover. I woke up all soaked in sweat, weird chills running down my neck. I thought went crazy from just the thought of you. A long blonde